Let's record. Okay, there we are. Welcome, everyone. This is our community Zoom call for the month of December. And last month, um, we did a releasing in layers of our body to create space for all the energies coming into Earth. And so we worked on the emotional body, the spiritual body, the energetic body. And I said, we're going to just save the mental body to the December one. I just had a feeling that was going to have to be its own session. And so I'm glad I did that because I feel like this is sort of the big one, and this is at the root. If we always think of, I always think of like a tree, and like what always grows roots in us is our mind and the stories we create around our experiences. And so releasing and unraveling a lot of that is a lot of work, but the energies right now are super like available to do this work in a very, very quick fashion. I know I've said that before, but it's so much easier now with the awareness to release and rewrite these stories. And so we're going to be doing that on this call. And if you want to join these calls live, you can go to my website and join the community. I am lisaklein.com. And these calls are free. And I'm going to stop recording towards the end, and then we'll just have a little community catch up before the holidays. So this is our last one, and then I'll see you guys in 2026. And so the energies coming through right now are so powerful. Sometimes in the middle of the night, I feel my auric field, my energetic field. I don't know what it is, almost like vibrating. And that's okay. And I've noticed I need a ton more water lately, so that I did kind of make a note to just gentle reminder, drinking as much water as you possibly can throughout all of these energies coming in, because they're kind of coming through to the cellular level of our DNA with all of these light codes and this plasma and memories and remembrances and love, just pure love. And we can even just think of it as that. And as that comes in, we want to create space for it. We also want to kind of keep hydrating. So water is super key. So the mental body slash the ego, which gets a bad name. Everyone's like the ego, I want to kill the ego or whatever. But really, if we just do a very quick summary of the most current human evolution in the past couple thousand years, what's happened is I'm just going to break it down quite simply, is we've just devolved into only honoring the mind, the mental, and the ego. So that has become the leader. It has actually become the dictator. If we want to think of it that way, it's become the dictator of our entire existence. And when people speak of now we're going to 5D or we're raising our consciousness, or, and that seems very abstract, something it really boils down to is the shift and the change into our heart center. And so our heart will be the leader, our soul will be the leader, our vibration will be the leader, and the mind will still be there, and the ego and the mental, but it will be the follower. And so, along that process, when we're kind of navigating through to the heart as the leader, and we're all, if you're watching this call now, you're definitely at the forefront of pioneering this. Because it's just starting to come online, and so if you found this, this is part of the work that you're called to do for the earth, for yourself, for the humans. We're moving into the heart center. We're moving into the heart space of love, of compassion, of grace, of kindness and generosity, not as an expense to ourselves, but as a service to everyone, but first and foremost to ourselves. And the mind and that mental controller slash dictator that has been kind of, I mentioned that tree at the beginning, rooted into ourselves, rooted into our humanity for so many years. It's literally embedded in our cellular DNA. It's epigenetic. We're just unpulling it. We're unpulling it and letting it go and kind of easing our nervous system into accepting the mind is okay right now to take a back seat. So, how do we do all of this? It's going to take a lot of retraining, which is why I saved this entire community call for just story narrative mind ego retraining. This could be an entire course. So, we're going to kind of get high level and we'll do a little thinking on our own too as it goes. So, essentially what we're aiming to do if we feel called to be doing this work we're going from the victim slash bystander or passenger, whatever resonates most with you, to gradually being the observer so that we can be the creator and the author. So, what does this look like? And what do I mean by stories? And what do mean by narratives? This can be anything the mind has created to basically some people say keep us safe. It could be keep us stuck. It could be keep us from healing. It could be keep us from evolving. So sometimes I think it's honestly keeping us from evolving, and it's really this is difficult, and this might take some work. But behind a lot of the things we're afraid to move forward on is probably a story, and this can involve small things. This can involve really big things. This can involve people in our life. This can involve only ourselves. It's literally all encompassing. So it can involve little things such as I can't speak. Like when I talk, I no one listens to me. So that's just a story simple right there. No one's going to listen to me. I'm not going to speak. So how do we kind of dial that back to like, where did that come from? Why do I tell that story about myself? Is that true? Would I tell that story to my child? Would I want my child to tell that story to themselves? These are things I'm even telling to my own children. I'm like, you're creating a whole book for yourself about yourself. Do you want someone else to read the book that school is so hard and I can't do it? You know, I everyone makes fun of me at school. So stop and observe that story. Is it true? Are you just feeling frustrated today? Because there's a huge difference between honoring your emotions and then creating a story that keeps you down. Stories can involve relationships, and this is very complex, but it can involve parents or childhood trauma that you've had, and then in order, as a child, rightfully so, and understandably so, in order to get through it, you could maybe have created something that sounded like, you know, my mom abused me. I'm not by any means discounting actual abuse, but it could be saying like calling labels to people in your life, like one of my parents is a narcissist, so that's why I am the way I am. Or everyone in my family, no one goes to college, so I'm going to be stuck here. Or so now these are kind of big stories, but there's something in them that's taken root in you to keep you small and to keep your light dim. And that's what we're trying to unravel. And how do we unravel this? Oh, I'm sorry. Big stories, huge stories that are collective stories. And this is what I've been working to unravel the past, I'd say, year or two. This is going to sound maybe a little bit out there, but big collective stories are the body will get old and age, or the body is meant to die. Oh, well, once you turn 50, your joints fail and you start getting sick. And I have worked very hard to, because I know in my soul that's actually not how we were made. So I worked very hard the past year or two, and I'm still doing it to dissolve those stories into the field of compassion and to rewrite a new story that my body wants to hear. Because ultimately, our bodies are listening, our cells are listening, our soul and our heart, they're all listening to what we tell them. And it's so, it sounds so small, but if we can just observe what we're saying inside of our heads or who we're attributing negativity to or labels or all of that, and if we can just be the observer first, we can change our entire field. We can actually even impact those in our lives that we've attributed those stories to. Energetically, they will sense the shift in us, and that will prompt a change potentially in them as well. So this has implications even beyond ourselves. I wrote down the observation changes what is being observed. It's the quantum field will reorganize to what you actually not only say, but once you feel it and when you send compassion to it. So a powerful statement when you're going through a lot of these is I release. So I release uh, my story that I need to stay hidden. I release this my story that parents meant to harm me because maybe they were just doing their best. I release my um, trying to think of other big ones. I release my attachment to the past that is keeping me from being my biggest, highest self. And it's good to get specific. I release my attachment to thinking money is evil, or I release my attachment to not caring about money. So something like that, if you're having abundant stuff, releasing that, sending compassion, but then replacing it with an I am statement. I am worthy of abundance. I am worthy to have my voice heard. I I am able to shine my biggest, brightest light no matter who is in my presence. And then part three of this is just taking an aligned action step toward that new pathway you want to do, even though it's really uncomfortable at first to do something new. And this action step, actually, it might even be if it involves a person in your life that you feel harmed by, and you're trying to release a victim narrative, and a victim story, it may be even doing a silent or even an out loud ceremony with this person's higher self where you share how you're feeling, but from a place of love and compassion, send some light out, and then cut ties if that feels best to you too, cut energetic cords, anything like that. But we do have the ability to rewrite our stories, to rewrite our contracts in the Akashic records, and to move in a whole new frequency going forward. And the more we can dig at these agreed upon narratives or these agreed upon stories that either you've made with yourself or with your inner child or the collective has made as humanity, the more we each kind of dig into those and create new stories out of love, like the earth is going to shift so much quicker. It's going to be amazing. Okay, so part of the releasing of the stories, because it's super tied to the emotions and the emotional body, is possibly to feel the emotions that come along with whatever this belief is until you feel it's complete. And it doesn't mean it's not going to come back in the future, but again, that's where the awareness comes through, the awareness of, oh, that's coming back again. Let me observe that. Let me release it, feel it, release it. It's not bypassing it when you're becoming aware, you're acknowledging that you have this narrative running You're acknowledging maybe a role that you played in creating the narrative. No matter how young or old you are, it's never too late to do this. It actually will only make you younger when you do this kind of thing. And that eliminates, because I'm sure out there some people are like, is that bypassing by just releasing? Not when you acknowledge your part in it and your attraction right now to kind of like what happened to begin with. Sometimes this is going to really go this is going to go deep too, but sometimes it's even what did you get out of that scenario or that situation that created a story inside your head. So one of mine, and I know I've mentioned this before, I went into meditation, and so I'm just going to give an example quickly, but I went into meditation, this is a couple months ago, and I was shown, I forgot exactly the question I asked, but I was shown myself very, very young, acting like I didn't know how to solve a puzzle, acting like I didn't know how to answer questions, and just making myself as small as possible because I was afraid I was going to make the other, and I was very young in this meditation, but I was afraid I was going to make the other kids around me feel bad that they couldn't do it. And that theme carried throughout my life in so many ways. I remember even thinking I didn't want anyone to know, I didn't want to shine, I didn't want to, I didn't want to raise my hand. I don't want to be seen. At the very core of that, I wanted to almost be invisible in so many ways. I mean, I remember even being on stage in a band concert thinking, I wish no one could see me. I don't want any of this, but it created a real block inside my system that it took me till now, I'm almost 50, to release of, is that me? Is that serving anyone if I dim who I am, what I meant to do? If I dim any part of me, who is that serving? It's not serving me, certainly. It's not serving anyone in the collective. It's not serving the earth. But it was super deep, and I had to go in and like, give a lot of compassion to past versions of myself for just doing my very best and just bringing the awareness to it. But, and here's the hardest part, just taking that one step toward a new way of being. So maybe when I'm talking to someone and I'm aware they may not want to hear my positive take on something or or it may put them off, can I say it anyway? Can I find a kind way to say it? Can I say it even though I know maybe they don't want to fully hear it, but it's speaking my truth and it's not dimming who I am. So that's just a very, very small example. And and then make it so great. And then one night, if you come up with a few of these stories, maybe do it in one fell swoop. Make it a beautiful ceremony. Light candles, call in Archangel Michael, call in the healing Archangel Raphael, the angel of healing, and call in your highest spirit guides, call in your inner child, really take some deep breaths. I like, breathing in the light, breathing out any darkness. Really do that until you find yourself super, super grounded and settled. I find it helps to write this down. And so I have in my head what I'm asking to be released and what I'm changing. But go back to that moment in time, or go back to a time when you really, really felt what you were trying to release, but activate your heart center and go back with compassion, compassion for yourself, who you were at the time, no matter what age you were, whoever was involved. And if this involves a relationship story, call them in, kind of, if you can and if you're able to. And I know this is a big ask, but try to send compassion, forgiveness, and love, and make it a whole ceremony and honor yourself and continue to question anything that comes into your head that feels like it's limiting you or limiting your body, especially even if you're going through illness, any limiting beliefs according that's keeping you from fully healing. And that could be a whole other topic. We'll do a community call on health issues, actually. I'll put that on for January. So that's the power of the mental body and the ego. I'm going to stop the call now, and then we're just going to connect as a community before we sign off. I hope everyone has a really great holiday season. Okay, I'm just going to stop recording.